Hello, dear listeners, and thanks for tuning in to Master English with Tim, the podcast where Tim helps you to master English in depth and detail without ever hurrying. I'm your host, Tim, native speaker, English teacher since 2004, polyglot, world traveler, podcaster, and writer. This week's episode is a continuation of my mini course on the English verb tenses, which started with part 1, which was about auxiliary verbs and went from episodes 52 to 59. Auxiliary verbs are absolutely central to English grammar in general, and the verb tenses specifically. So if you haven't listened to episodes 52 through 59, I suggest that you do that right now. This week's episode is part of part 2 of my course, and part 2 is about the different sentence types that are part of each of the verb tenses. This week, I'm going to talk about and give examples of WH questions. WH questions are questions that start with a question word. For example, what, where, why, or when. We also have a few question words that combine with a noun. For example, what, which, and whose, like what time, or which color, or whose book. Another question word that we have is how, which combines with many different adjectives. For example, how fast, how far, how much, how many, how important, or how expensive. In episode 67, I talked about yes-no questions. Yes-no questions all have the same construction. Auxiliary, then subject, then everything else. If the verb in the question is an auxiliary like be, can, will, or should, then we don't need to add anything to the formula. We just have auxiliary and then subject and then everything else. If, on the other hand, the verb in the question is not an auxiliary verb, in other words, if it's an action verb, then we need to add a form of the auxiliary verb do. So, coming back to WH questions, they use the same construction as yes-no questions, but add a question word to the beginning of it. So you have question word like who, what, when, where, why, how, and then auxiliary, and then a subject, and then everything else. So let's now get down to business. As usual, it's going to be by order of verb tenses with similar sentences grouped together. Let's start with present simple and the verb be. We've got 29 examples here. Very common, very popular construction. 1. Where am I? 2. Where are we? 3. Where are you? 4. Who is this for? 5. How hot is it today? 6. Where is our car? 7. When is Hanukkah? 8. What is this for? 9. Where are my keys? 10. Where's the exit? 11. Why is the sky blue? 12. When is the meeting? 13. Why are your eyes red? 14. Where's the bathroom? 15. When is your birthday? 16. When is our vacation? 17. What is your book about? 18. When is Easter this year? 19. When is his next day off? 20. What is your hometown like? 21. When are your days off work? 22. When is the first day of fall? 23. How fast is the speed of light? 24. How important is this question? 25. Why is she always in a bad mood? 26. How far is the nearest rest stop? 27. When is the best time to call you? 28. When are airplane tickets cheapest? 29. How long is the movie that you want to watch? Okay, next construction is going to be present simple with there is or there are. Just 3 examples, not a super common construction with questions. So 1. Why is there dirt all over the floor? 2. How many mistakes are there in my text? 3. How much sugar is there in a can of Coke? Okay, next we've got present simple with can. 10 examples. 1. Where can we meet? 2. When can I call you? 3. How far can you run? 4. How fast can you run? 5. Who can we ask for help? 6. How well can you speak German? 7. Who can we sell this product to? 8. How much can we afford to spend? 9. How long can you hold your breath? 10. What can we do to change the dynamic in our relationship? Okay, next, present simple with should. 1. What should I do? 2. Who should we tell? 3. Who should we call? 4. Where should she meet us? 5. Why should anyone believe you? 6. How much food should we bring? 7. When should we be at the airport? 8. Which movie should we watch first? 9. How long should our presentation be? 10. What should I do if I have a problem? 11. What color should we paint the house? 12. Where should we go on vacation this year? Next construction, present simple with will. 1. Who will you tell? 2. Where will we sleep? 3. How will you get there? 4. When will the package get here? 5. How much will the repairs cost? 6. How long will you stay in Tokyo? 7. Which days next week will you have free? 8. What will we have for dinner tomorrow night? Next construction is present simple with would like. 5 examples. 1. How much would you like to spend? 2. Where would she like to go for a hike? 3. What would you like to have for breakfast? 4. When would you like to have our next class? 5. Who would you like me to invite to the party? Next construction is present simple with action and state verbs. We've got fully 29 examples here. 1. How do I look? 2. What do you think? 3. How does it taste? 4. Where does she live? 5. What does your mom do? 6. Who do you think about most often? 7. How much does this cost? 8. What does it taste like? 9. What does it smell like? 10. Which bus should we take? 11. How does frog meat taste? 12. When does the plane leave? 13. What time do you go to bed? 14. Which languages do you know? 15. Why do they need to know that? 16. What do you usually think about? 17. When does the sun rise tomorrow? 18. How do you open the garage door? 19. What do you drink in the morning? 20. When do you get up in the morning? 21. How far does she drive every month? 22. How many cars does your family have? 23. Who do you practice your English with? 24. How much do we spend every month on gasoline? 25. How much does a teacher earn in your country? 26. How long does that battery in your phone last? 27. How many calories of fat do I eat on a typical day? 28. How well do you understand English movies and TV shows? 29. How long does it take for you to get to work in the morning? Okay, next construction is going to. 7 examples. Who are you going to call? 2. How are we going to get home? 3. How far are we going to walk? 4. When are you going to clean your room? 5. What are they going to bring to the party? 6. How much are you going to spend on dinner? 7. How are you going to pay back all that money? Next construction, past simple with was or were. 1. How was the movie? 2. Where was your car? 3. When was the meeting? 4. How were your friends? 5. Where were your shoes? 6. How hot was it yesterday? 7. What time was the meeting? 8. Who were the cupcakes for? 9. What was the lecture about? 10. How was the basketball game? 11. What time was the football game? 12. When was the first day of school? 13. What was on TV last night? 14. How was the story that I sent to you? 15. Who are the cupcakes in the fridge for? 16. Why were you in the office so late last night? 17. Who are the birthday cupcakes in the fridge for? Next construction, past simple with action and state verbs. We've got, 43 questions. Very, very common formula here. So, 1. Who did you call? 2. Who did you believe? 3. How far did he drive? 4. How did you find out? 5. How long did you wait? 6. What did you find out? 7. Where did you grow up? 8. What did everyone think? 9. Where did you read that? 10. When did you get married? 11. What color did you choose? 12. When did the baby wake up? 13. How many books did you buy? 14. What did the doctor tell you? 15. How long did you have to wait? 16. What did you buy at the store? 17. How much gasoline did you buy? 18. Which flavor did you like best? 19. How much did it rain yesterday? 20. What do you think about my idea? 21. How many times did she call you? 22. Why did you decide to change jobs? 23. When did your parents get married? 24. How long did it take to get there? 25. What did he learn from his mistake? 26. What color of paint did you choose? 27. Who did she sell the yellow car to? 28. What did you use to clean the floor? 29. How far from the office do you live? 30. Where did you learn to speak Spanish? 31. How far did you go on your bike ride? 32. How well did the class do on the test? 33. Where did we go on vacation last year? I can't remember. 34. When did you get back from your ski trip? 35. What address did he send the package to? 36. What did everyone think of my presentation? 37. How much time did she need to finish the test? 38. How did you know that I'm interested in fashion? 39. Where did you get those shoes? They're really cool. 40. What color of paint did you choose for the bathroom? 41. How long did it take you to learn English that well? 42. How did everyone find out that I have a new girlfriend? 43. The whole presentation was in English. How well did you understand it? Okay, next construction, present continuous, 12 examples. 1. Why are you laughing? 2. When are they leaving? 3. What is she working on? 4. What is she doing right now? 5. Which route are you taking? 6. What are you thinking about? 7. When is your plane arriving? 8. When are we leaving tomorrow? 9. Who is she inviting to the party? 10. What time are we leaving tomorrow? 11. What are you eating? It smells terrible. 12. Who is she planning on inviting to the party? Okay, next construction, past continuous, 5 examples. Past continuous with WH questions, not a super common formula, but it does happen. Okay, 5 examples. 1. What were you looking for? 2. What were you thinking about just now? 3. What were you doing yesterday? 4. What were you doing when we called you? 5. Why was she sleeping instead of working? Okay, next construction, and the final one is present perfect, 14 examples. 1. What have you done today? 2. Why have you been home all day? 3. Why have you been sick so often lately? 4. How many days have you been sick? 5. How many pages have you written so far? 6. How long have they lived in that apartment? 7. How long has the refrigerator door been open? 8. How long have you worked at your current job? 9. How many years have your parents been married? 10. What have you heard about our company's products? 11. Where have you been all this time? We were looking for you. 12. How many times did he ask to marry her before she said yes? 13. How many times have I told you to lock the door when you leave? 14. How many times have they been to Cancun? Aren't they tired of going to the same place all the time? Okay, so that is all of the sorted sentences, the ones that are sorted into groups by verb tense and by construction. Now let's do the sentences in order of increasing length. This means that you will hear a mix of different verb tenses and constructions, which is more challenging. In order to let you listen more smoothly, I will also not include any numbers on the sentences, but there are over 200 questions here. So again, starting with short and moving on to long with a mix of different verb tenses. No particular order in regards to verb tense. Okay, so let's start. So, where am I? Where are we? Where are you? How do I look? Who is this for? How hot is it today? Where's our car? When is Hanukkah this year? What is this thing for? What should I do? Who did you just call? Where are my keys? Where's the exit? Where can we meet? Who will you tell? What do you think? How does it taste? How was the movie? Who should we tell? Who should we call? Where was your car? Why is the sky blue? When is the meeting? When can I call you? How far can you run? Where will we sleep? Where does she live? Who did you believe? How fast can you run? When was the meeting? How far did he drive? How did you find out? Why are you laughing? Why are your eyes red? Where's the bathroom? When's your birthday? When's our vacation? What does your mom do? How were your friends? Where were your shoes? How long did you wait? What did you find out? Where did you grow up? When are they leaving? How will you get there? What do you usually think about? What is she working on? What is your book about? Who can we ask for help? How much does this cost? What does it taste like? What did everyone think? What does it smell like? Where did you read that? When is Easter this year? When is his next day off? Where should she meet us? Which bus should we take? How does frog meat taste? How hot was it yesterday? When did you get married? What have you done today? When does the plane leave? Who are you going to call? What time was the meeting? Who are the cupcakes for? What color did you choose? When did the baby wake up? What were you looking for? What is your hometown like? What time do you go to bed? What was the lecture about? How many books did you buy? When are your days off work? Which languages does she know? How is the basketball game? What is she doing right now? Which route are you taking? What are you thinking about? When is your plane arriving? How are we going to get home? How far are we going to walk? What did the doctor tell you? When are we leaving tomorrow? What were you thinking about? When is the first day of fall? How well can you speak German? Why should anybody believe you? How much food should we bring? Why do they need to know that? How long did you have to wait? What did you buy at the store? How much gasoline did you buy? What were you doing yesterday? How fast is the speed of light? How important is this question? When will the package get here? How much will the repairs cost? Which flavor did you like best? How much did it rain yesterday? Why have you been home all day? Why is she always in a terrible mood? Who can we sell this product to? How much can we afford to spend? How long will we stay in Tokyo? What do you usually think about? When does the sun rise tomorrow? How do you open the garage door? What time was the football game? What do you think about my idea? How many times did she call you? Why have you been sick so often? How far is the nearest rest stop? When should we be at the airport? How much would you like to spend? What do you drink in the morning? When was the first day of school? Why was the TV on all last night? Who is she inviting to the party? How many days have you been sick? When is the best time to call you? How long can you hold your breath? Which movie should we watch first? When do you get up in the morning? Why did you decide to change jobs? When did your parents get married? How long did it take to get there? What time are we leaving tomorrow? What days are airplane tickets cheapest? How far does she drive every month? What did he learn from his mistake? What color of paint did you choose? Who did she sell the yellow car to? How long should our presentation be? How many cars does your family have? What did you use to clean the floor? How far from the office do you live? Why is there dirt all over the floor? What should we do if we have a problem? What color should we paint the house? How was the story that I sent to you? Where did you learn to speak Spanish so well? How far did you go on your bike ride? Where would she like to go for a hike? Who do you practice your English with? When are you going to clean your room? How well did the class do on the test? Where did we go on vacation last year? How many mistakes are there in my text? What were you doing when we called you? How many pages have you written so far? Which days next week will you have free? Who were the cupcakes in the fridge for? What are you eating? It smells terrible. How much sugar is there in a can of Coke? Where should we go on vacation this year? When did you get back from your ski trip? What address did you send the package to? Why were you sleeping instead of working? What would he like to have for breakfast? What are we going to bring to the party? How much are you going to spend on dinner? When would you like to have our next class? What did everyone think of her presentation? How long have they lived in that apartment? What will we have for dinner tomorrow night? How long is the movie that you want to watch? Who would you like me to invite to the party? How much do we spend every month on gasoline? How much does a teacher earn in your country? How are you going to pay back all that money? Who is she planning to invite to the party? How long has the refrigerator door been open? How long have you worked at your current job? How long does that battery in your phone last? Why were you in the office so late last night? How much time did you need to finish the test? How many years have your parents been married? Who were the birthday cupcakes in the fridge for? How did you know that I'm interested in fashion? What have you heard about our company's products? How many calories of fat do I eat on a typical day? Where did you get those shoes? They're really cool. What color of paint did you choose for the bathroom? How long did it take you to learn English that well? How well do you understand English movies and TV shows? How did everyone find out that I have a new girlfriend so quickly? What can we do to change the dynamic in our relationship? Where have you been all this time? We were looking for you. How many times did he ask to marry her before she said yes? How long does it take for you to get to work in the morning? The whole presentation was in English. How well did you understand it? How many times have I told you to lock the door when you leave? How many times have they been to Cancun? Aren't they tired of going to the same place all the time? Okay, that's all the questions for this week. Thanks for listening, everyone, and see you next Monday.